to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself.
This one's wife. What was actually said to the staff. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife found herself coming in for some heavy criticism recently as a consequence of disclosures that she's not a very nice person. Yes, the Hollywood Reporter had detailed various instances of less than attractive behaviour on the part of this one's wife, referring to her as being a dictator in high heels, somebody that basically tears strips off people and has reduced grown men to tears. A picture was painted of her as being a domineering, unpleasant individual that bosses staff around them and bullies them. This, of course, fits with the image that was portrayed of her in relation to her behaviour in both Britain and Australia. This has proven particularly problematic because it's come from a US publication. This one's wife sought to fight back, ensuring that a PR puff piece came courtesy of Us Weekly, telling everybody, by utilising existing and past members of staff, that she actually is a living saint. It's unconfirmed whether those individuals were held at gunpoint for the purposes of explaining why they viewed her as such a wonderful person, but as I have explained, even though she may well send them an email thanking them for things that they've done and bring them flowers, eggs, and used children's clothing, all of that, because it comes from a narcissist, is just another form of manipulation, save it's been done in a benign fashion. It didn't really get her very far, with many detractors unconvinced by this and pointing to the fact that this was only issued by these members of staff as a reaction rather than them frequently talking about her in hushed tones of reverence and singing her praises. Furthermore, additional information came courtesy of the Daily Beast, explaining that she has psycho moments. Thus, the bullying and unpleasant boss image has been difficult for her to shake. But as part of understanding what's going on, it's always important, of course, to go to the evidence. And, in the circumstances, I've been able to lay my hands on the testimony that was provided by certain members of staff that formed the basis of the Hollywood Reporter's investigation and article about this one's wife's behaviour. I'm going to provide you with this information so you can make your own minds up about what was actually said, so that you can determine, are these simply disgruntled, dissatisfied former members of staff who've got an axe to grind, or are they legitimate concerns and complaints about the behaviour of a narcissist? You can be the judge. Here are the testimonies.
My name is Mike Roch, and this is my testimony with regard to my experience working for Meghan Markle. I joined Archwell and attended at the office suite as directed. I approached the reception and announced, "Mike Roch, reporting for onboarding." I thought I would use the topical term for induction. However, I was immediately corrected by a female voice, which stated, "It is waterboarding, Mr. Roch." I was taken aback. Surely they meant onboarding. Well, you can imagine my disbelief and shock when I was escorted to a windowless room where my wrists and ankles were secured with zip ties, and I was made to lie on the floor with a black hood placed over my head. I was suddenly aware of an overwhelming scent of hairsprat, tobacco, and stale alcohol before a female voice, clearly adopting an affected, breathy tone, hissed at me. "She sent you, didn't she? Do not deny it." "I don't know what you are talking about," I answered, and then water was poured over my face. I could not breathe. It was not pleasant at all. The pouring water stopped, and then the female snapped, "How long have you worked for William and Catherine?" "Who?" I answered. There was a noise, like a cackle and a shriek, and then the water was applied again. Well, this went on for what felt like an eternity. This female kept asking me how often I rang King Charles, whether I had kissed Catherine, did I like her hair, what did I think of hair extensions, did I like jam, and would I be willing to work for free? It was horrendous. I was eventually untied and ripped off the bag to find I was alone, save for several puddles. I immediately left and never returned. That was my experience of working for Meghan Markle.
The quite astonishing experience of Mike Roch when he attended at Archwell to work for this one's wife. But Mr. Roch was not alone in finding himself on the receiving end of reprehensible treatment. Here is testimony from another former employee.
My name is Barb Dwyer, and this is my testimony working for Meghan Markle. I like to think that I have seen many things in my career, and that means I am difficult to shake, but nothing prepared me for what occurred when I took on the position of executive foliage numerator. At Archwell, I was expected to stand outside the mansion at Montecito and ensure that no leaves would be found on the lawns when Meghan Markle came outside to undertake yoga. On one occasion, it was a blustery day in fall, and there was no way I could pick up the fallen leaves quick enough. All of a sudden, I heard this scream. It was like a banshee that had trod on a Lego piece. It was so piercing that all the neighborhood dogs began barking. I turned and there was Meghan Markle. She was wearing high heels and some strange military uniform, which had been modified in an attempt to make her look both sexy and authoritative. It failed on both fronts. "Who are you?" she bellowed at me as I attempted to pluck a stray brown leaf from the ground. "My name is Barb Dwyer," I answered politely. "My name is Barb Dwyer, Duchess Meghan," she stated through pursed lips. I laughed. Surely she was not serious. When I laughed, it was as if Satan had taken residence in her eyes, and she leapt like a hellhound from the patio and began lurching towards me on all fours, her jaw clenched and eyes bulging. Well, it put the fear into me, I do not mind saying. So I turned and ran. Now I am no athlete, but with that crazed woman bounding after me, I turned into an Olympian and sprinted for the wall, which I scrambled over and landed in Oprah's garden. I could hear Meghan Markle howling and slamming against the wall in frustration. I have not been able to go near leaves since. That is the effect she had on me.
Quite the traumatic experience for Barb Dwyer, I'm sure you will agree. But it doesn't end there with the hellhound activities of this one's wife. There's yet more testimony from another person who has worked for her. Listen to this.
My name's Chris P. Bacon, and this is my testimony working for Meghan Markle. I was recruited as a content provider for Archwell, basically to populate the website and to generate interesting material for engagement with fans and followers. I had worked in similar roles elsewhere and had a solid track record. On arrival at the Archwell offices, I was escorted to a room which had nothing in it, apart from a piece of paper which had some words to something called "All Hail to the Chief" on it, and a very small stool. I asked if this was my office, but the young man who had shown me to the room had already gone. I looked at the sheet, and it appeared to be a revised version of the composition that is played for the President, the Commander-in-Chief. All of a sudden, I nearly lost my dentures as a sudden boom came from a public address system, and a bastardized version of "Hail to the Chief" was played at an ear-bleeding volume. Without warning, the doors to the office suite burst open, and in strode Meghan Markle. She was goose-stepping, and followed by various nervous-looking flunkies. She halted at the entrance to the room I was in, pointed to the sky, and the music immediately stopped. "Sing," she ordered. "Sorry," I replied. "I said sing." I glanced at one of the flunkies who was gesticulating to the sheet. I was puzzled. "Sing what?" I asked, perplexed. I saw the flunkies shaking their heads and urging me to sing as Meghan Markle strode over to stand beside me. "Sing, damn you, sing," she barked. I felt myself shaking as she bored 2 holes into me with her black, soulless eyes. I attempted to sing the words printed on the sheet, "All hail to the Chief Meghan, waterer of seeds," but it was clear I did not know the tune. "Useless," she seethed. You are pathetic, useless, moronic, unhelpful, incompetent, and not someone who belongs here. Get out and never look at me again. I am ashamed to say that under her withering glare and verbal onslaught, I burst into tears. There I was, a grown man reduced to tears, and I pooped myself.
A humiliating experience for Mr. Bacon, who has been in receipt of therapy since that experience at Archwell. We now turn to another individual who is currently employed at Archwell. This person only spoke under condition of utilization of a pseudonym. Let's hear what that person has to say.
My name is Hollywood, which is not my real name, but I fear reprisals from Meghan Markle in respect of providing this testimony. I still work for Meghan Markle, for now. I hold a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's in international affairs. I have previously held vice president positions at blue chip companies and felt that the position at Archwell was of sufficient seniority so I could have a real impact on the foundation's aims. How wrong I was. I am a glorified babysitter, not for Archie or Lilibet. They have their own nannies from the Invisible Nanny Association. No, I have to babysit Harry. Basically, Meghan Markle spends her time at the mansion entertaining certain guests. They fly in by helicopter, landing on the lawn, and annoying the neighbors by disturbing their lemons. I do not know what these men do, save they arrive with briefcases and leave without the briefcases, but with a wide smile. This means that Harry has to be kept away from the mansion and occupied at Archwell's offices. Meghan Markle shouted at me through a megaphone, "He is toilet trained now, but do not let him chew the crayons, and whatever you do, do not let him drive up to the mansion at any point. Do you understand?" I nodded. That was my brief. I have not been able to effect any meaningful change in the company, as I am too busy chasing Harry around trying to feed him some fruit when he insists on going to Dunkin' Donuts, wiping the drool from his mouth and reminding him it is rude to stare at female workers' breasts and say titties. It really is like being a zookeeper to an oversexed orangutan. Why do I stay? Listen, the shit that goes on here is so damn freaky. I have a 5-book deal with Penguin Random House, and I will be set for life, so even I can tolerate playing building blocks and watching Cocomelon with the Prince of Pink Pancakes when that reward is on the horizon. Otherwise, there would be no way I could tolerate working for Meghan Markle.
There you have it. Testimony from 4 of the employees, 3 past, 1 current, shedding light on what really goes on whilst working for this one's wife. This, however, is just scratching the surface, and there will be more. So pay attention, keep your ears pinned back to learn what the staff actually said. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.